Looking good. Fantastic. Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I'm Brandon Weber. I'm the CEO of a company called Hightower, and we're bringing modern technology to the commercial real estate industry. That was a great presentation on things that scared the crap out of us. We're going to talk about something a little bit lighter, but I think equally interesting in terms of kind of where the world is today and where we think the world can go over the next year or two. Just a couple of slides about kind of us and the company, just a little bit about me as well. My background, first half of my career was in software development, first at Microsoft on the Excel team and then at Zillow. And then the last 6 years of my career were spent in the commercial real estate industry, where I was at CBRE representing many of the institutional owners of commercial real estate that Hightower is now proud to call customers of ours. I founded the company about a year ago with two co-founders, one of whom is in the room, Niall, our CTO, and then our Chief Design Officer, DeSantis. A little bit about Hightower, kind of where we're at right now. So we were founded in Seattle about a year and a half ago. Like I said, we recently relocated to New York about 6 months ago, so new to Manhattan. Excited to be here. Really excited to just be a kind of a part of this community that I think Jonathan and the team are really kind of bringing together, and I see critical mass, which is incredibly exciting. We raised our first round of funding in December, $2.1 million in seed money. That round was led by Bessemer Bessemer Venture Partners and Thrive Capital, who have been incredible partners for us here. And then we've got a great group of investors around them. RRE, Red Swan Ventures, Formation 8 out of San Francisco, Fuel Capital, and then some great angels, Aaron, Brandon Shorenstein with Shorenstein Capital. Kind of where we stand today as a company, we launched the platform about 6.5 months ago. And today we're fortunate, we'll kind of dig into what the platform really is, but we're fortunate to cover 34 markets today. We just moved into Europe, which is incredibly exciting, in partnership with one of our larger customers, a company called Beacon Capital out of Boston. So we're kind of in the mode of scaling and really kind of realizing we've got a tiger by the tail now, and hanging on and building an organization to support the market opportunity is where we're focused. So what is that market opportunity? So commercial real estate industry, if you look at it in terms of net asset values, about a $12 trillion industry. It's massive in kind of any scale that you look at in terms of revenue generated, commissions paid, asset value, and it's an industry that, just interestingly enough, when you look at how the industry is powered in terms of tools and technology, it's run by a lot of things that look like this: Excel spreadsheets that are tracking very static-oriented data that really is capturing the core data, powering the core workflows of the industry, whether that's commercial leasing, valuation, disposition, and acquisitions. And we're in the business, kind of the way we think about Hightower is kind of we're in the business of replacing spreadsheets with more efficient mechanisms for getting your job done. And so when we kind of think about like the industry today, especially commercial leasing within commercial real estate, is it's inefficient communication using phones and weekly calls. Data is fragmented across all sorts of different data types, physical file folders, digital file folders, and then we live in a world of static reporting. And that's really kind of the area that we're focused on, is replacing this static business of commercial leasing with a dynamic one. And the result, the pain, is that this is the kind of stuff that we hear from our customers. Smart, sophisticated people running asset management for large companies, talking about the vast majority of their day being buried in paperwork. And so what does our world look like? Well, we're replacing this workflow that is driven by static spreadsheets and tracking of information with a dynamic platform that is really recognizing one of the kind of fundamental premises that we see in commercial real estate is it's an inherently mobile business. We all spend about as much time out in the field, whether it's touring space, interacting with clients, touring assets, as we do in front of the desk. So Hightower, kind of at its core, is a platform that's built to be as powerful for you on your mobile device as it is on your desktop. So with that, I thought we'd just kind of transition into a demo and really dive into what we're doing and why. And so with that, I'm going to tab over to my screen. So I'm gonna walk you through Hightower both on the web and on the mobile device. And so what Hightower really is doing, so the workflow that we really are attacking is commercial leasing. And if you think about and break down the commercial real estate industry, it's an industry that's powered by commercial leasing. That is the function of these commercial buildings around us. They're businesses that are essentially selling their product or leasing their product, which is space, to companies like Cooley and others. That commercial leasing business today is tracked, analyzed, and managed out of those collections of spreadsheets. And it doesn't matter who you talk to. You can talk to regional owners who own 5 or 10 buildings in a market, or the largest owners in the world who own billions of dollars of real estate spread throughout dozens of markets, highly complex product types. If you kind of back down to first principles and look at where this information is tracked, from their leasing pipeline to financial analysis on those deals, it all lives in static documents. So kind of our vision for Hightower is, first order of business is, let's replace that static workflow that's powering the industry with a dynamic platform that makes that workflow much more efficient, because it's a collaborative business. And in doing so, as an outcome of supporting that workflow with technology, we're structuring and capturing all of the data around the industry, leasing data, whether it's demand, supply, valuation of individual spaces, at scale. And what we can do with that data is provide analytics in a real-time basis, not only on how your portfolio is performing, but also how the market's performing around you. So what I'm looking at here, I'm logged in as Brandon Weber, the asset manager at an institutional owner of real estate. And my default login is looking at my dashboard. So these are the assets that I'm responsible for. These could be commercial buildings in downtown New York, which is what our portfolio looks like. Buildings that I'm responsible for the leasing activity of, really maximizing the value of those assets. And each of these buildings might be represented, meaning I might have third-party representation from different brokerage firms, CBRE, JLL, Colliers, different brokerage teams from all over the place. In the world that we exist in today, each of those buildings all of the leasing activity is being tracked in individual documents. And then those documents get kind of sent up the chain to the asset manager once every week or once every 2 weeks. With Hightower, we bring that into a single place, kind of what we call the command center for your leasing. So this dashboard showing me my portfolio of assets. You can see the list of buildings on the left, some KPIs on those assets kind of in real time. So not only current square footage, but what's the current availability rate, all of that information being powered by what our leasing agents are tracking. Over here on the right is our leasing activity pipeline. So it's just showing me how much square footage across this portfolio, my list of 10 buildings, do I have at each stage in the leasing process. So think about this as just the sales funnel for commercial leasing, or the leasing funnel. So from prospects, you can see we have 1 million square feet total across 43 deals, touring, trading proposals, signed letter of intent, and then finally leases executed year to date. So totally, we've done 9 deals totaling 361,000 square feet. And then the deal navigator gives me a view into kind of the current status of all the deals that are in progress. So tenant name, who's representing that tenant. We've gone to great lengths to aggregate all of the contact information for leasing agents around the country into a database that we can all use. Kind of the current status on the deal, most recent comment, as well as the comment history. And then going through the funnel, I can see status kind of on all of my deals across the funnel. If I drill in, we're drill into a specific deal, looking at Roth Energy. So you can see this is the Roth Energy deal details page. So this is a tenant that's looking at 2345 Crystal Drive. This is where Hightower is kind of tracking all the information. And here I've got a property manager, I've got my brokerage team, the asset team. We're all kind of interacting on this deal from kind of various perspectives. And this is where the leasing team is tracking the information. You can see we've got tenant rep contact information here. So if I wanted to, let's say, add an additional broker who is working on that deal from the tenant side, I just select them, add them, and save, and it's updated. Below there is kind of the economics of the deal. So this is a negotiation that sometimes can take 18 months, proposals being traded back and forth between the landlord and the tenant. And in kind of the world we exist in today, those documents, those proposals are getting sent by email to the asset manager, a separate financial analysis documents being sent. They might, if they're lucky, get stored in some end drive somewhere. So Hightower brings those all together and kind of in one proposal history, and we incorporate the financial analysis directly into the actual workflow platform. So you can quickly, in real time, see the analysis on proposals that are in your pipeline. Whereas kind of before Hightower, this would take, this would be a separate workflow that might take hours or days to get actually turned around from your analyst or your brokerage team. And then of course we're managing all of your file attachments associated with this. So we're kind of bringing everything under one roof. And if I toggle over to the mobile device, so we spend a ton of time, both as brokers and as asset people, especially when you have a diverse portfolio spread around the country, out of our office. So Hightower's kind of promise to our customers is that your business and your portfolio is going to come with you if you're using the Hightower platform. So you can see here, I'm looking at my portfolio, stats at the top, kind of total square footage, current availability, and then each asset that I'm associated with or I'm responsible for. If I drill into 2345 Crystal Drive, you're going to see my deal pipeline here. So these are all the deals that we're working on. The ability to kind of really quickly upload comments, see comment history, understand what the status of these deals are. If I need to reach out to the contacts that are on those deals, I can just click their name and get access to them. And then drill into all the deal details. So everything that you see on the web is available on mobile device, from proposal history, kind of the deal details of the tenant itself, as well as all the file attachments. So if I wanted to drill into what the floor plan for that tenant looks like, you've got access to all of that right there. And then it's not just about kind of the deal flow, it's also about your inventory. So we think about Hightower as kind of managing the workflow of leasing, but then also managing your inventory that you're trying to get leased. So you can't improve it if you don't measure it. So we're tracking the average age of your inventory. And as ridiculous as it sounds, most owners that you talk to have no idea how old their inventory is across their portfolio. It's just a stat that no one can keep because all that data lives in somewhere that you can't aggregate it and you can't analyze it. So in many ways, we're kind of in like early days with analytics around this data because we're now able to aggregate it at scale, and then we're working on kind of what are the KPIs that we're really going to generate for the business that just weren't possible before you actually could take a look at it. And so when you look at availability, not only can you kind of see what's going on, but it's about the workflow of the business of leasing. So I can quickly share my available spaces with maybe an interested tenant or a broker representing the tenant. I can share the files associated with that, whether it's the brochure or the floor plans. Hit continue. Hightower's going to build me an email. I enter the contact information that I want to send it to, and it gets sent. So kind of where we're at right now with Hightower is really building kind of that first phase of workflow platform, where it's the engine that collects the data that is powering the second phase, which is real-time analytics, not only on how your portfolio is performing, but also on how the market around you is performing. So with that, I think I got the 1 minute mark. So I'll pause right there and just open it up for questions, comments, feedback. Raise your hand first.
So can you talk a little bit about how you are transferring the data in from these static documents?
Yeah, no.
Some human being typing in all these values.
Totally, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So think about it like a huge point, right? And actually, it's probably, I think it's one of the reasons that we've been successful early on is we took kind of the onboarding process very seriously. So I use this analogy, it's not quite correct, but it's like it's taking them from analog to digital, and it's a one-time pain point that if we tried to rest that on their shoulders, we said, hey, here's Hightower, the platform, you've got 31 million square feet, good luck uploading all that data. The friction for them to do that is great. So we built a data onboarding team, QA, QC team, that does that at scale. We're getting really good at it, at measuring how long it takes us to do that stuff, efficiency rates, and it's a turnkey onboarding experience for them. And frankly, it's a really good ROI for us because it's actually not that painful for us, especially now that we've got tools and teams around it. Critical for us to be able to do that. So we kind of think about it as like we're going and kind of unlocking all this data once, and then moving forward, it's their workflow platform.
So your team is actually physically going in and typing all this data in.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we've got a fairly big team focused a lot on data input.
And then going forward, though, as you have new deals, you guys are also...
They do it. No. I mean, it becomes their workflow platform. These guys have it open kind of all day like Outlook. So yeah, just to give you a sense of how long that takes, these guys are in a business that they're used to like 12 to 18 month deployments of property management software. We just finished a deployment with a 31 million square foot owner, and that's like top 50 owner in the country. Took us 6 weeks, start to finish, from kind of initial contract signature through the data getting to us, through uploading it, for them to be onboarded. That answer your question? Cool.
And then once you have the system, well, do you do any customization of the systems for specific clients, or do they just get the technology as is?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we've been fortunate that the platform, and we've been trying to be very thoughtful about building a platform that scales across kind of the institutional ownership community. Where customization really lies is around specific KPIs, so outputs that they want to see from their analysis, and then reporting, so specific reports that they can export, which have been kind of an exception as opposed to the rule. So, and we do that. Yeah.
I want to hear a little more about the market analysis. Do you guys integrate MLS data? Do you guys integrate market-specific data?
Yeah, so where we're focused now is on building portfolio analytics. So giving you visibility into your own portfolio and how it's doing. And the owners that that we call clients have big portfolios that are fairly diverse, that go across the United States and sometimes globally, giving them visibility into that. And so we're not pulling in any third-party data sources yet. It's going to get really interesting to do so, because they want to see multiple trend lines on vacancy rates and whatnot, how they're doing relative to the market. Back there. You right?
How are you going about licensing abroad?
Yeah, it's a good question. Broad question. So we're a SaaS company. So we're a subscription-based business, and our general model in terms of pricing is built on it's built on assets under management, or total square footage on the Hightower platform. So we kind of scale up and down pretty dynamically with the size of our customer, which has been good for us. So we can scale up nicely to very large owners, and then we don't leave small regional owners out in the cold. Yeah. Over here, Joe.
Right now, you guys are, like you said, the owner, portfolio perspective.
Yeah.
At what point does this, or can it be a two-sided system where brokers can log in from another direction?
Yeah.
Because they're dealing with multiple landlords and getting information that they just want to pass along back and forth.
Yeah.
And manage that workflow.
Yeah. So they're already doing that today on Hightower. So we have brokers who are running their entire listing business on the platform. We're focused from a sales standpoint mostly on kind of the enterprise owner direction, but so brokers are a critical part of our ecosystem. They're in most cases, they're the data input mechanism for all of this stuff. They're the ones tracking all the information. So Hightower does that today. And we've got license agreements with some of the major brokerage firms, and are rolling Hightower out directly to listing brokers in multiple markets.
So on behalf of the landlord. So
yeah,
there's a relationship there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, on behalf of the owner. Yeah. Yeah.
Pulling from the first question that was asked, if the initial data import isn't a big hurdle, because I would assume that would be the initial one, what are the major hurdles, the obstacles that you run into in the sales process? Getting clients?
In the sales process, or just overall?
Onboarding and then
sales. I mean, generally, commercial real estate is there's a huge opportunity in commercial real estate for a number of reasons. One of which is that the industry is very technology, fearful in general. So we've spent a ton of time just making the platform just incredibly easy to use. There's just a natural there's a natural inertia there that you have to overcome. Brokers that have been using the exact same spreadsheet for 20 years to track leasing activity for some of the largest owners. So there's that inertia that we've had to overcome. The other thing too is the industry is just, as an industry, fairly a new buyer to cloud technology. I mean, if you look at the technology stack powering commercial real estate today, and there is a technology stack, it's not just spreadsheets, but they're kind of mid-90s platform solutions, much more focused on client server, 18 to 24 month deployment timelines, takes forever. So that's kind of a big part of it as well. One more, cool.
You have the sales pipeline and the inventory, but given that you're doing all that work to actually pull the data in, and leases are 10 years ago, are you doing any analysis on their existing leases?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a great question. So I can't go into too much detail there, but I think you point at a very obvious opportunity, right? Which is there's active deal making data that is, that we're walking through and that you're seeing, but there's a whole heck of a lot of information around their existing tenancy.
I imagine it's a lot more data too, right?
Yeah.